It was supposed to be just another night at Dodger Stadium, 51,000 fans, a rivalry game, and the usual pregame rituals. But then, a young Dominican American singer stepped up to the mic and shattered expectations in just under 2 minutes. She didn't just sing the national anthem. She flipped the script in Spanish, defying direct orders under the blinding lights of live television and in front of a crowd that didn't know what was coming. In that moment, Vanessa Hernandez, better known by fans as Nezza, wasn't just performing. She was making a statement, one that would light up social media, outrage critics, and leave even her supporters stunned. Why did she do it? What message was hidden behind her voice, trembling with emotion? And why did the Dodgers try to stop her? This is the story of how one anthem became an act of rebellion, and how Nezza turned a song into a spark that set the city on fire. Before she stunned a stadium, Nezza was already finding her voice, not just as a singer, but as a symbol. Born Vanessa Hernandez to Dominican immigrant parents, she grew up in a world where culture, struggle, and rhythm were always intertwined. On social media, she carved out her space, blending Latin pop, R&B, and dance into a colorful identity that connected with fans across cultures. But Nezza wasn't just chasing fame. She was building a platform, one that celebrated her roots and gave voice to a generation of bicultural youth who felt caught between two worlds. Her fans loved her for her music, her honesty, and her pride in being Latina. But no one expected what she'd do next, because when the Dodgers invited her to sing the national anthem, she saw more than a stage. She saw a moment, and she knew exactly how she was going to use it. Standing behind home plate at one of the most iconic stadiums in baseball, Nezza was told exactly what to do: sing the national anthem. In English. No surprises. But as the cameras rolled and over 50,000 fans rose to their feet, she did something else entirely. She took a deep breath and began singing in Spanish. And Pendón Estrellado, the official Spanish-language version of the Star-Spangled Banner, echoed through the stadium. Her voice, rich and trembling with emotion, broke the silence with lyrics most fans had never heard in that language before. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a mix-up. It was defiance. Nezza later shared on TikTok that a Dodgers staff member had pulled her aside and said, "We are going to do the song in English today." She didn't argue. She just walked to the mic and let her voice do the talking. "I just felt like I needed to do it," she said. "Para mi gente." Draped in a shirt featuring the Dominican flag, her eyes filled with tears by the final line. It wasn't just about music. It was about family, about resistance, about refusing to be silent, and in just 2 minutes, she had turned a performance into protest on one of the biggest stages in Los Angeles. To understand why Nezza risked it all in that moment, you have to understand what was happening beyond the ballpark. Los Angeles, a city built by immigrants, was under siege. In the weeks leading up to Nezza's performance, ICE raids had swept through Latino communities across the city. Families were being torn apart in broad daylight. Social media flooded with videos of plainclothes agents dragging people from their homes, workplaces, even schools. And it wasn't just ICE. President Donald Trump had escalated the crackdown, sending National Guard troops and even U.S. Marines into urban neighborhoods, military boots on American streets, helicopters over East LA. Protests erupted, the streets filled with anger and fear. Then came the headlines that shocked even seasoned political observers. U.S. Senator Alex Padilla handcuffed and forcibly removed from a press conference after confronting Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. California Governor Gavin Newsom pleaded for federal troops to withdraw. Mayor Karen Bass didn't mince words, calling the raids a humanitarian disaster. It was a city on edge, holding its breath. So when Nezza sang in Spanish, she wasn't just honoring her culture. She was drawing a line, a quiet rebellion against a system that had turned its back on her community. And for those who knew the stakes, her song hit like a thunderclap. The final note rang out, and for a moment, silence. Then scattered applause. A few cheers, Some fans stood in stunned admiration, others in disbelief. No one quite knew what had just happened. Some clapped instinctively, others looked around, unsure if they were supposed to be angry, inspired, or confused. But the real eruption came moments later, not from the field, but from social media. Within minutes, X, formerly Twitter, was ablaze. Clips of Nezza's Spanish-language anthem flooded timelines. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds. The reactions? Unfiltered. "She should be banned from ever performing again," one user wrote. "They should have cut her mic and issued an apology." Another asked, "Has her legal status even been checked? Deport her." It was ugly, it was loud, and it was exactly what Nezza expected. But for every hateful comment, there was a wave of admiration. Her courage is palpable, so proud of her. That was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen at a baseball game. I'm obsessed with her now. That was power. In the chaos of it all, one thing became clear. Nezza hadn't just performed. She'd ignited a national conversation. Love it or hate it, no one could ignore it. As the dust settled, the Los Angeles Dodgers, the team that hosted the anthem, the franchise that asked her to sing, said nothing. No statement, no clarification, no support, just silence. It was a calculated move, one that spoke volumes. Nezza, meanwhile, took to social media with a mix of humor and truth. "Safe to say I'm never allowed in that stadium ever again," she joked to her followers. But beneath the laughter, there was something real. Because even though she hadn't been officially banned, the Dodgers' refusal to comment left her hanging in the crossfire. No protection, no solidarity. Behind the scenes, sources claimed the team had no intention of punishing her, but their silence didn't shield her from the wave of backlash now targeting her online. She had made a stand for her people, and now she stood alone. Or so it seemed until a few powerful voices spoke up. Just when it felt like Nezza had been left to face the storm alone, the clubhouse doors cracked open. Veteran utility man Kike Hernandez, known for his grit and love for the city, posted a message that hit hard. "I'm saddened and infuriated. Our community is being violated, profiled, abused, and ripped apart. No hashtags, no filters, just raw truth." Then came Adrian Gonzalez, a Dodgers legend and one of the most beloved Latino players in team history. He didn't hold back either. Calling the raids unconstitutional, Gonzalez wrote, "Separating families without cause, profiling individuals due to the color of their skin is not right. It needs to stop." Their words mattered, because this wasn't just social media noise. It was players, past and present, standing with the people. With Nezza. With every fan who had watched her performance and felt seen. It was a reminder that beneath the jerseys and paychecks, some players never forget where they come from, or who they play for. Nezza's anthem wasn't just a song in another language. It was a mirror, held up to a country still struggling with identity, justice, and belonging. In less than 2 minutes, she exposed the tension simmering beneath the surface. A city proud of its diversity, but hesitant to confront the pain behind it. A country built by immigrants, now tearing immigrant families apart. A stadium full of fans, forced to choose between comfort and conscience. And she did it with no speech, no protest signs, no podium. Just a microphone, and her voice. What Nezza sang wasn't an act of defiance for the sake of controversy. It was a love letter to her people, to every family watching the news in fear, to every kid caught between two cultures, to every voice told to stay quiet. And whether you agree with her or not, she made the country listen. Because sometimes, the boldest protests don't come with shouting. They come in the form of a song, in the language of the unheard. Echoing in the stadium long after the game is over,